Daniel, I'm going to ask if you'd come down for a second. One of the things that we are really passionate about is the idea that there's a lot of ministry that goes on that doesn't go on in here. Okay? Like there's things going on all the time that the Bridge is involved in, and a lot of those things the Bridge doesn't even instigate. Like it's part of the Bridge family, but it's happening organically. And we see ourselves, or want to see ourselves, very much kind of as an aircraft carrier where ministries have a place to land and refuel and take off and do their own thing, as opposed to controlling how all of that works. And so Daniel's been doing this now for a while, and they've always got, you're busy. You're like, and I understand how ironic that sounds coming from me, but you're busy. And I just asked him if he would share this one little endeavor they're working on with worship leaders in Asia. So if you want to share a few minutes on that.
Yeah, I'll take just a minute here. This morning was so sweet, and I love that picture that you shared, Randy, of Jesus looking at the earth and looking for those who say, here we are, we welcome you. Because I think in this hour, it's easy to look at the world and to see kind of the opposite. You know, we look at situations like in Afghanistan. We look at things even here in America. And one of the regions that we've been tracking with over the last 10 months now has been Myanmar. So if you're familiar with the storyline, in February 1st, the military overthrew the government and instilled a coup. And it's just been devastation since then. The whole economy has crumbled. They've locked up probably 10 to 12,000 people. And in that shaking hour, you know, if you look all throughout Scripture, Psalm 2, we've been hitting that quite a bit recently, just how we're seeing some of these overtones of the nations raging. And I was looking at that passage this morning, and when those things happen in the earth, you look and see, what is God doing? And the very next phrase in that chapter in Psalms is that he says, I've instilled my king on his throne. And so this response to the shaking of worship is the prescription of heaven for this moment. And so I think even this morning with what Randy brought to us, and that worship was just so pure and precious to the Lord, that we look at these situations of crisis and we see the Lord begin stirring in his people a desire to raise up the King of Kings above the shaking. And so as we've been journeying just with this kind of from a distance, this storyline with Myanmar, we've been getting connected with different leaders there. And the one thread, no matter which group it's been, which stream or denomination, is that this is the hour that Myanmar needs to be filled with worship of Jesus. Believers there are recognizing the first and right and most significant response is that we would gather together and begin creating these altars of his presence where he is elevated above the government, the military, the shakings in the second heavens, above all of these things. And so we've been working with a few leaders in Myanmar, coming alongside communities to help train them, help coach them in worship on how to become communities that their vision really is to fill Myanmar with 24/7 worship, where they'd have worship centers in each city that are lifting up day and night prayer and worship to Jesus, really the fulfillment of Malachi 1:11. And so from here in Kansas City for myself, and then a partner of mine in Chiang Mai, Thailand, we've developed a prayer and worship coach training program, which looks like training communities in just the practicals of worship, as well as community coaching, which is really spiritual formation, how to help instill in them a lifestyle of personal intimacy that would result in having an atmosphere of corporate encounter. So it's a lot of just building the basics of discipleship into these young believers. Most of them are in their 20s, alongside of helping get them practical skills on how to sustain enjoyable worship in their context. So I'm on multiple calls a week, in the mornings, in the evenings, every once in a while in the middle of the night, meeting with these leaders. I'll be on one tonight with about 50 young worship leaders in one city that want to fill their city with worship of Jesus. So it's really such a sweet gift to be able to do that in this season, to come alongside them in this way. And I'm provoked by their heart when there's so many opportunities for them to be discouraged, offended, embittered, and angry, to say, we're going to lift up love to Jesus. And we want to receive everything we can to do that well for the next years and decades to come. So we're doing that with groups in Myanmar. We're doing a similar thing with some groups in Vietnam. This coach training where we're jumping on calls every week, doing the discipleship formation piece, the worship practicum coaching piece, and it's been a real joy to be able to do that.